And they need to understand what allyship means, what it could mean for them. We talk about anti-bullying and harassment, we have helplines, we do all sorts of training for individual regiments and units.
One of the things that I want to do today, my aims, I always write aims and objectives, and my aim was to give people some tools to go away with, tools that help people sustain their writing, you know, all through the year. I'm going to do a bit about detail, really, the things that make us want to read a book, you know, the kind of little details about characters and places and stuff.
One chapter of it, and I was just sort of like, I was just in it. I was just really immersed. And so we're going to hear some more passages, and hopefully it's not the chapter that I read. So please give David a clap.
So I do have a session tomorrow for about an hour, which is about the kind of process of writing. So we're going to get into a bit sort of more detail tomorrow about backciphering, how to go about it, how to potentially set yourself up, how you can maybe do things that maybe you're not ready to write now, but there's things that you can be doing now to prepare for when you are writing. And we'll talk about the process that I went through. So the important thing here is I'm not telling you how to write. I only ever talk from my own experience. So I talk about the contents of the book, that's my experience. I talk about what I did, the process in terms of writing, because that's my experience. I'm not telling you to follow me. You take out what you feel is relevant to you when you hear what I've got to say. If you don't want to use anything, that's absolutely fine. You know, You have to find your own path in my view. Okay, there's lots of people who give you lots of advice about what you should do and shouldn't do. And I listen to all that. You've got to get a ghostwriter in, you've got to do that. But then if you get a ghostwriter, it's not your story, is it? You're telling your story to someone else and then they're writing it.
Get out. Care kid, man up.
But we're going to try and make this as safe and as enjoyable experience as possible, because I haven't heard all the poems. I've maybe heard only like a fifth of them, and so there might be things in your poems that bring up stuff for you or bring up stuff for others, things that might be nerve-wracking, and maybe there's not at all, and that's fine as well. I think there's a poem about a Shetland that swallows a star. So, you know, like, there's all sorts of poems. But in order to help the person who's up the front, and this is something that often happens in poetry slams, and you might have heard it before, if a poet says something that you think is either funny, smart, clever, true, honest, beautiful, whatever, or you just like it, in the middle of them saying the thing, you can do these ones, you can click, And it's like just, And if you can't click, you can do these ones. Or you can do the sound you do when you eat like a really nice chocolate cake, like, you know, like, something like that. Something like that.
This is getting too touchy feely for my brain.
And the reason we do that is, I know it sounds really hokey, and it is a bit hokey, but the reason you do that is, I'm sure there's things that you've written and you maybe get to a certain line in your poem where you're like, oh, I think this is a good line coming up, but I'm not so sure, I think it is, and then you say it and then everyone's doing these ones. You just have the nice, like, warm butterflies, you know? It's just a nice little affirmation. And at the end, we're gonna give a big clap, take a seat. So we just want to make this as enjoyable as possible. But to sort of get us practiced and ready for the clicking, I'm going to do a poem. I found a dove dealer on Gumtree. He lives in Kazula and he sells them to me for 20 quid a bird. Obviously, that's a bargain. When I release them, it's always a pair. Only a psychopath releases a single dove. My goal is to infect the world with doves. Replace dogs at the park with doves on leashes. Maybe train as a barista and sweeten sugar-free flat whites, not with stevia, but a large male dove. I'll even let the doves flock under the first couple of layers of my skin. I'll lift my arms up like a can of soup, self-consciously unbuckling itself. 1,000 sub-epidermal doves will flap their tiny wings, and I'll hover over a land slowly growing diseased with doves. I'll bury some doves up to their neck. Watch them blossom into the acne of a Year 9 maths student from 2003. I'll harvest the pimples with a squeeze. Watch the doves slide out like kneeling calves down the water slide of their mother. But it'll only take moments until they gamble up onto their feet and take flight. It'll be heinous and beautiful. Every tired spine of a book shuffling to the edge of the shelf, about to drop in suicide, will instead be lifted up as doves. Books aren't dead, they're just doves. Filthy with knowledge and shameful inky tattoos flying higher and thicker, surrounded by all their sadomasochistic moth friends. I'll watch them ascend in front of a sunrise, with non-threatening mountains in the background like a logo from an aid organization in Lancaster from the 1990s. And I want you to see it. I want you to be there on that mountaintop. We'll kiss, and I'll never stop loving you. I want to wake up there with the rain, falling on a tin roof, safe there in your arms. But the raindrops are dead doves. And your arms are doves. I'm going to replace all the bandages and all the hospitals with your dove arms. When people laugh, I want them to choke on a dozen doves coming out of their mouth, but it'll be like a peaceful choking, like drowning in a kelp forest while a Nora Jones song plays. Come away with me. Come away with me. Come away with me. It'll be so peaceful. Away with me. Come with me. In the night, even the olive branches in the dove's beaks. Even the olive branches in the dove's beaks will be doves, who will then be carrying an olive branch, which also turns out to be a dove, which also turns out to be a dove, which also turns out to be a dove. It'll be like a goddamn Escher painting, an unstoppable wall of glorious foam, like King Midas getting handsy with clouds. And we should probably do this for some time, at least until the whole world is a heaving pixelation of a million doves, or one giant dove, or you walking with me on a cloudy day. It's hard to tell the difference, but it'll be the final magic trick, the ultimate reveal. All the doves, always and forever, far, far away. Thank you. I know that's a bit of a weird one.
So you heard a bit about me earlier, and obviously about painting. Writing has always been a kind of escape for me, language. As a child, I was silenced into compliance, so my words weren't valued by anybody. So as an adult, I kind of thought, we're going to reclaim that, I'm going to take it back, them words are mine. No one had ever introduced us to thesaurus and things like that, and you know, all of the big words that people use and can use. So poetry kind of was a bit of a release for me, a way of stopping the pressure cooker from exploding in the kitchen. So, and this poem's called More Than, and a lot of my poems I kept to myself before I went to Your Life, Your Story. And a few of the first poems I shared with Amanda, and I was a bit like, this is really shit, but here you go, have it. Do you know what I mean? It's one of them ones. So, more than spent, yes, I was. No fuel left in my tanks. Everything consumed. The wind took out my sails whilst the gargantuan wave advanced. I thought I'd travelled the distance, the end. My end couldn't have come too soon. Like the passing of the tides or the rising of the moon. You seen it had been a perpetual cycle, a merry-go-round of chaos. Not my childhood, but a battleground. Pain and fear, my only constants. All was quickly accepted. Compliance, my middle name. Terror became my normality. And horrifying things just quite plain. Did that not happen in your house? The teasing, testing, torture, burning, bruising and beating, pornography, touching, another. Did they not see how much you could take before your heart would give out? And I don't mean attack, just a spill of emotions, because that was enough of a show. The attack was one on the soul, an attack on humanity and will, a trail of wanton destruction that soon formed a vacuous hole. My compliance merged into darkness, emerged angry, bitter, twisted, violent, defensive and lashing out, keeping my emotions in and people out. Never too close to the truth, that I'm terrified inside. If I tell you, my insides will shatter. So instead, my defences rise high. No connection if I don't look you in the eye. You can't see my broken soul. So I keep it all in, build a wall, my attempt at control. But no person can cut themselves off completely. Retreat inside and never come out. But connecting felt like I was being defeated. Self-abandonment, my safe place, my aim. Addiction, risk-taking, attempts, self-harm. Trying to escape the eternal demands of the pain and the terror and horror that wants to inhibit every etch of my memories inside this consumed, noisy brain. Battered body, tattered soul, defying the odds and continuing on, travelling whitewater rapids, tied to the bottom of a boat. The occasional respite with a short gasp of air, then plunged into darkness and the depths of despair until I nearly choked. But somehow, just through the surface, I held on to the light. a twinkle, a glimmer of something that I never let out of my sight. I held on. And the journey's not without remnants, fragments that are lodged in my mind. But some days are better than others, and some days it seeps from inside like toxic waste. But this I learned to navigate. Each little detour I take with this disordered brain, each misinterpretation of emotion, each critical commentary, and the thoughts too insane. I've had to embrace them all, even the dodgy bits, the parts I'd rather erase, the bits that remind me of the memories, the hurt, shame and pain. They've somehow become the fuel in my fire, the light to guide the way, because I know that all that shit don't define me no more. I'm more than a list of dismay.
The waters were darker than you can imagine, like the black tarmac on a brand new road, drowning in the waters of secrets, lies and betrayal. The waters were just as deep as the sinking feeling within the heart. The hard rocks beneath it, as she continued to drown, bumping her feet on each one. The pain she felt trickling up the body, consuming, swallowing her whole like a shark. The little girl being shattered into a million pieces like fragile glass, the waves carrying her floating broken pieces, searching for a place beneath the waters to resurrect her. Within the deep dark waters lay the truth that could only be found at the feet of the rocks and fluorescent coral reefs, which were all that could be seen. A light of hope, shining so bright, like it was leading to the gates of heaven. As the truth trickled out like tiny drips from a tap, the broken pieces spiraled in the water like a tornado coming together to change the world. That once little girl started to float up towards the bright spotlight, shining inwards, demanding control of her own destiny. Like a delicate creature of the sea, arose a woman surrounded by the golden lights of higher power. Who was she? It was the little girl, now a manifestation of the lessons learned in this world.
It's like not knowing where the fuck to go, what to do, and what to say. No, it's like being scared of losing so much more than you've already lost. It's not that, it's more like forever paying for things that were not your fault, will never be your fault. It's like berating, blaming, and criticising yourself for everything that comes into your mind. Not just that, but for everything that goes wrong in the world too. It's like little you screaming underwater, even now, still this and later. It's like being restrained repeatedly because you're not cooperating all the 15 years later. It's hurting, really hurting, to your core and not knowing when it will stop, but carrying on anyway.
I'm going to be sneaky, I'm going to do two. But it's a bit like my first one that I ever wrote, and then a recent one, which hopefully will go in the book as well, but it's on the website, so that will go. So I tend to, Your Life, Your Story, I am care experienced, and those that know me will understand the first one. Once you open the box, the memories flood out. Once you open the box, you recall the nightmares. Once you open the box, you see the failure. And once you open the box, you see the neglect. Once you open the box, you see and feel the pain. Once you open the box, the lid cannot remain. And those that know care experience, that was about getting my care records box. And once I took the lid off,
It's all about the box.
yeah, you understand the box. And that's what that was about. It was getting my care records and stuff. But then, not so long ago, I was privy to a meeting with a lot of professionals, and a particular professional informed me how lucky I was to have only been in 2 residential homes. And I left this meeting a little bit peeved and a little bit angry. I'm never really good at words or whatever, but I came home and I wrote this and I sent it to Amanda. And when she was very nice and put it on the website, I then emailed it to everybody that had been at this lovely meeting, and I thanked the person for their inspiration. And my reply to his comment you will find on the website. Have a look. And this was my reply to his sentence. I'm lucky, so I'm told, only 2 residential homes. This makes me so much better off than others with more moves. How could I moan? I'm lucky, so I'm told. Floors of only 2 residential homes to scrub. My knees can't be that sore, or my hands split and bleeding. After all, it was only 2 residential homes. I'm lucky, so I'm told. My bed not made how I was taught, or beaten to learn how to do it. So no breakfast for me or the others in the home. Today we go to school hungry and worn down. But still, it's only 2 residential homes. I'm lucky, so I'm told. Being cheeky to staff, so made to stand in the hallway all night long, freezing cold, legs so tired you fall down, and then made to stand in the matron's bedroom for the rest of the night, because you woke them up falling down. Still I'm lucky, only 2 residential homes. Boot room duties today, all shoes lined in a row, now to be polished so you can see your face or the staff can in them. Because otherwise they were thrown outside just like you for failing to make them shine. Still I'm lucky, it was only 2 residential homes. I'm told it's laundry duties today, beds all stripped to the bone, the steam of the hot air, water in the sink burns the skin off your hands as you wash and soak the sheets all day long. Still, it's only 2 residential homes. I'm lucky, so I'm told. I got fed, clothed and kept warm. So don't kick up a fuss. Your family would not do that. They don't care, that's why you're here. Still, it's only 2 residential homes. I was heard talking in bed, so I got pulled by my hair on the head, dragged down 2 flights of stairs and thrown down the 3rd flight to the cellar for talking in bed. Cold, damp, wet and alone, scared and frightened. Still, it was only 2 residential homes. I'm lucky, I was told. Only 2 residential homes of abuse, neglect, physical beatings and sexual assaults. Still left there, mark on my body, mind, soul and memory. It has a lifelong impact. Still, it was only 2 residential homes.
My story. It has many chapters. Some I can tell, with words spilling out. My irritation will cascade, tumble out like a blue tidal wave that collides with a mass of sweating bodies, moving, swaying to a silent, deafening beat which makes me trip, falling into a river of booming heartbeats. Life pulling at me, dragging me along, pulling me under, where I suck in the deep bass of the water weeds, strangling my cords, like a night out on ecstasy, dancing the chains off me, releasing the hold. This is my story of an outsider turned insider, checking the blood, tunneling through my body, rupturing the cells, breaking open like a galaxy forgotten. Stardust leaking from my eyes, dripping through my open pores where everything moves from the inside to the out. Lighting up the world with a blinding light, eyes weeping with the dread of a black hole. Like purging the bitter taste left there by a transgenerational legacy that drones on and on. But I travel forward, clawing the ground with my determination, throwing aside the broken soil, reaping new shit, retrieved from the melodic sounds found in the crevices of my folded heart, opening like a snake's mouth where it eats its prey.
Left, right, just could not think of what to write. Quick stroll out for a walk, clear fog from overloaded head. Left, right, left, right, left, right. Cheesy Wotsits to my left, parsnips to my right, and I still can't work out what I want to write. Slam book, I'm done. Shut eyes, rest head. Tonight, I'd rather listen instead. Tomorrow is another day.
This is my take on when we did the free kind of write. So there is a story about a Shetland pony who swallowed a star, which made their belly twinkle with a bright warm glow. and believe in their own mysterious magic. So there is a story about twinkles being spread wherever the Shetland pony went. The grumpy person waggled their eyebrows at the sight of the twinkling path and did their best to brush the twinkles away. So there is a story about a small lonely soul who travelled the shining path. This twinkling path reminded them about a story they had once heard about the Shetland pony who had swallowed a star.
Oh, I'm nervous, so I'm just going to take a deep breath. Well, I'm no Morgan Freeman, by the way, so my voice is a bit like weird. But it's alright.
Go, Paddy, go.
I feel the same.
As we travel through life, your friends are no longer your neighbours. The teacher is no longer at school. The smell of rain gets stronger. The queen is now a king. Your mother is now a grandmother. Your lover is now an other. As we travel through life, wait a minute. Oh my god. Sorry, I've just frozen.
It's okay.
I've never done this before, so sorry. As we travel through life, we no longer take the bus, but we take a train that's always running late. The buildings get taller and I can't do this.
You
Okay. The buildings get taller and the birds are not seen. As we travel through life, the kids no longer play on the park, but play on their phones. As we travel through life, we find plasters as chains, all as veil, black and white as shades of grey. As we travel through life, we all end the same.
The sun and the wind and the rain, do they all feel the same? If I look inside, deep inside, if I peeled back the skin, what would I find? Is this me or is it you? Are you me and me you? The truth and the youth will set us free. The day I had nothing better to do, I think I experienced it for real. My heart beat faster and I tingled and sparkled and fluttered all over. My eyes dilated, deep, dark, black pools. I think we could have fallen in, intertwined, but only for a little time. Hard and fast, stupid and crazy, one-time thing.
I better say, I wasn't in care, I got the kids in care, so I felt a bit of a fraud actually for quite a lot of this. Because, really decent childhood, but then the poem came out because I went to a ballet school, I went to a boarding ballet school when I was 10 until I was 17. And this was really surprising that this is what I wrote about. So, creaking under my toes from the creases and the cork of my ballet shoes. Cotton and glue ridges rub my blistered toe, sliding the skin away as sweat stings like pins and salt. Releve, balance, hold, my breath, it's snatched as a whip stands when I suddenly feel the pain. Not good enough, Meg. Try again. So I slide my feet along the oak chocolate splintered floor and it jars, briefly stopping against the powdered resin. Extend my leg, straining my tiny thighs, and straighten the back of my knee. Don't sink, balance, pull up, breathe. It's not good enough, Meg. Try again. So I bend my knees, unison, in time, straighten my neck, head up, turn, pull in, pull up. It's not good enough, Meg. Try again. Your son needs you, Meg, and your husband's distant. You're in a glass box, Meg. You need to be playing, feeding them, listening, nurturing. Not good enough, Meg. Try again. So pack our things, 3 of us in one small suitcase, weighing up the vital and the luxury and the wanted from the needed. A married refugee with kids in shame. It's not good enough, Meg. Try again.
How can it be the commons when there's no commoners in it? Posh tossers in suits telling us how to budget. Spin the wheel to pay your bills, Martin Lewis at 9. Learn to live without heat, our horses are fine. Parade you around with hidden intentions, sell your peers out for a book deal and an investment. A day with the family ends in tension headaches, sweet smiles and hugs muffling hidden aggression. Food at the table, but I won't ever eat it. answer their questions and all of their interests. Now marks in my palm as I reply with sweetness are holding the screen that they'd know if they stayed. How do you find your footing when there's landmines at every turn? Shock and awe are all that you've learned. Uni at 23 is weird when you still feel 16. Paying your bills with Monopoly money. Shots at the bar and tears in the toilet. Still at beach shouting in the kitchen and tears under covers.
Tonight about my happy days. The waters run, the steam rises. Feels like the web of a spider pulling a polished stone along a cobbled path. Bubbles on top, all white like spray. Through the silence like a gun shooting rounds. Pop, pop, pop. Cup of tea, simple pleasures, like rain on a sunny day. The smell of grass, or a kiss on the cheek from a child. Breathe, relax. The tap all polished, silver, chrome, metal, cold, but enveloped in the warmness of the cup, glove wrapped around you. Breathe in, breathe out, the smell of lavender, like the smell of my nan, the comfort of her hugs, the flapjacks and the tea, like home.
We define care as a must while growing loss for the basic required, nurturing the mind from the immature yet weakened by the lack of knowledge. The self-compromised by the combination of laissez-faire, leaving the soul unattended. Longing to belong, cared for by an unseeded system. Long? Yes. Unable to escape, broken from the inside. Strong? Yes. Trapped? Wrong. Unseemingly veiled, unable to escape my own hypervigilance. Danger, danger, danger! Exhausted, screams my voice. Growing in a narrower direction. Lost? Yes. Connect with me, body, mind, heart, and spirit. A vicious cycle, spinning for love. Realization was easy, but taking the steps, hard? Yes. Troubled? Yes. Keeping my journey out of my comfort zone. Learning that vulnerability is a passage that others take to care, and healing is personal. Loving myself, capable. I am me. I care for the unspoken. This is my voice to care. I foster care.
This is a story about a little girl who grew into a mother. This is a story about how her children are her and she is them. They are tied together like a web of invisible wire, except it's not like wire. It's fragile like cotton and soft like wool. This is a story about the warmth in her mind whenever she thought of them. She could feel it overwhelm her, like the steam from an opened oven. It would start small and spread quickly. It would spill like a bucket of crabs knocked over at the harbour. This is a story about a woman, not her own anymore, but never wanting to be again. She would never need anything else. She had collected the highest prize. She doesn't need to mend the past, as it will never be their future. This is a story about a woman who can climb the highest height and she can fight the hardest fight. She's not scared anymore. They have strength in numbers, like the hairs on their precious heads. This is a story about a little girl who grew into a mother, and she is no longer scared.
Probably had enough of me this weekend by the end of it. Just a quick short one. First time I've ever actually written any poems or words and stuff, so here you go. The day was hot and sticky. The task was long and simple, but soon turned wrong. Patrol round on until we found the area that had been used by them. I took one step forward, paused, looked, then took another step, froze. Hair on my neck stood up. The world around me focused with intensity. The mind stared at me, and I did not place my foot down where it wanted. I stepped back and breathed, then made the joke. The patrol continued.
Battering of tin roofs in the summer rain, the omnipresent hi-hat pittering and pattering, the heavy metal addicted cicadas chattering with daddy long legs tickling capillaries, prickling thong lines on sunburnt feet, and even when the termites are asleep, and even when the rains won't push back, persecuting flames like a ball sack itch, the white noise of that Protestant muscle twitch, a tus-tus of suburban sprinklers cutting in disapproval. An audio pesticide to keep the poppies from growing, a tisk-tisking to keep our heroes from crowing, while the neighbours are outside our chamber doors groaning, but my country sounds like the rumble of thunder. It sounds like pacemaker or red chest cavity beating in aortic pentameter, baseline rupture of land spasming from baptismal water. It sounds like a lightning strike. It sounds like whip and lash snapping, ripping convict kanaka and crack backs the crack crackety snap crack snare crack. The Sydney Olympic starter's pistol. Smacker slattering between lips. Christmas teaspoon slapping pavlova like salt pan promises cracking like sugary politico smiles fracking this crack in X Factor judges' voices. In our Sunday rejoices, in red lines on invoices, in our captain's choices, my country sounds like a thunderstorm. Thank you.
I wrote this poem when I've returned from my first Your Life, Your Story, and I never kind of imagined going to a place where I didn't know people and that. I was speaking earlier. For the 6 months before Your Life, Your Story, I hadn't gone out of my house. The only person I'd seen was my wife. The only person I'd spoken to was my wife. So to come up to Cumbria and be with a load of fucking randoms, do you know what I mean? It was proper mad, but by the end of the weekend, I was kind of like, these are my people, do you know what I mean? These are people who get me. So I wrote this poem called Different and One. We come from different places, different people, different faces, from the roots of different beginnings, different trees. We walked on different paths, trod different trails. We all had different things that brought us to our knees, but we had dreams. We've known the inner workings of life struggles. We've jumped hurdles and climbed mountains abound. We've pulled ourselves up from our bootstraps when kindness, love and safety was nowhere to be found. It's in this darkness we embraced ourselves. We have known loneliness and rejection. We have known hatred, abuse and disaffection. We have known heartless processes and being denied affection, despite us all growing from different directions. But we got through. We have known lost identities and missing parts, about records with redactions, about judgments from the start. We have known abandonment, fear and isolation, but you blame us, our ways, our behaviour. This is your mitigation. We have known the dark alleyways of exploitation, vice and corruption. We have journeyed down paths of complete self-destruction. We have known that you need to toe the line, remain silent, compliant, becoming frozen, trapped in time. But our voice is still there, screaming silently from inside. We have known the pain of speaking out, of uttering a sound and then taking a clout, of saying too much and then wishing you hadn't even opened your mouth, of being caught with that sideways glance, or when those bubbling words spilled out faster than you had a chance to anticipate the consequences. We have known heartbreak and how to keep our eyes to the floor, to avert our gaze from anything human. We're not people anymore, or so they thought. We have known separation, not just from others, but ourselves, compartmentalised in boxes that we're too afraid to open out. We have known that spark that keeps us going, the ember deep inside us that's barely glowing, waiting to be fanned into a flame. We are the people who have known the cold, not only on our flesh but in our hearts. We have known opinions and aspirations, we've strived for second chances, new beginnings and fresh starts. We have hidden in the shadows, been scared stiff of them too. We've run, we've fought, we've battled, but we've kept on breaking through. We have eyes that have seen things that never should have seen. We've known hands in places they never should have been. Words spoken to me in our ears, now etched into our brains. The touch of our oppressors, our abusers, it runs within our veins. We've known the insidious, the callous, cruel and wicked. We have witnessed the deranged, cold-hearted and simply twisted. But somehow, we were to blame. Now we're the powerful ones, we know our minds. No one can edit our futures, chop bits out, reduce or minimise. Our history will always be a reminder it is our past. Our strength, our passions, our determination will be what defines us, our journeys now. We've known the truths unspoken, the stories behind our smiles, within our eyes. We've known that once we were lost, fragmented and broken, but together, different and one, we shall rise.
Great, and then for the finish. Thank you everybody for sharing. Yeah, I think this ends the session. So yeah, give yourself a